Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Viewers' Voices, the weekly show on which I highlight comments that have been made by people who have been kind enough to watch the videos I put out on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So this week, I'm going to slightly change the order in which I comment on comments and go to last Sunday's video. And there's just one comment here by Ossie Inemo 8661. And he or she says that they absolutely adore my frank answers to questions which are straight and ruthless. Oh, that's nice. It's sometimes good to be accused of ruthlessness. And actually, Ossie, you are the only person who gave me any feedback on last Sunday's video. Though others do comment on Twitter, Facebook, other social media platforms, but I tend to stick on this show to the people who commented directly under the videos, and you were the only one from last Sunday. And you've responded before, and I really appreciate your attempt to connect and give me the feedback that I need to make this channel as successful and entertaining and thought-provoking as possible. I would really, really welcome your opinions and everyone else's opinions about what you think will make this channel more lively, more popular, reach out to more people. I'm vain enough to think that some of the things I have to say could be of interest to, wider range of people in different countries. But I don't really know what people really want to hear about. I mean, I know that when I talk about big names like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, or Peter Obi, the Nigerian opposition hero, I know that I get a lot of enthusiasm then. But, I can't talk about famous people or the same old famous people every week. So what else do you think I should talk about? I'm interested in advice about content, style, tone, frequency. A girlfriend of mine was telling me, because a lot of the people who respond to these videos do it privately because they know me, okay? As things stand, most of the feedback I get comes from people who know me personally or people who have met me face to face. So I might be at a party or a conference or a wedding or a funeral, and I'll bump into people who will tell me that they've seen my video and they liked it or they didn't like it, or they liked parts of it and disliked parts of it. And or I have friends, work contacts, and acquaintances who will contact me via WhatsApp or call me, and sometimes they're calling about something else or messaging about something else, but then they suddenly remember that they saw one of my videos or they've seen a few of my videos and they want to comment, and they'll share their thoughts, and I really appreciate the feedback. But I feel that I need more feedback from outside my social, personal, family, and professional bubble. I'm getting some from people who comment under YouTube videos. I'm getting quite a bit from Twitter or X, Facebook, TikTok, and so on as well, but not enough. So please tell me what you think. Ossie Inyomo 8661. I know you say you adore my frank answers and everything, but is there anything you think I can improve? What are the topics that make you smile or fire you up? And do you think that I should do more ruthless, frank, straightforward responses to people and to the world? And I'm humbly seeking your advice about how I can do a better job. Now, some of my friends have made certain suggestions, and I'd like you to comment on them. One girlfriend says that my thumbnails are dull. If you don't know what thumbnails are, Google them. Google the word thumbnail within the context of videos, because it's too difficult to describe. And she thinks that I need to liven up the fonts and the presentation. That's the sort of like adverts that make people decide whether they're going to watch a video or not. And then another friend said to me that she thinks I should do many more short videos. So she's not against the longer videos on Wednesdays and Fridays and Sundays that usually run for between 8 and 15 minutes. That's the average time. But she thinks that, she thinks I can keep those if I want to. But she finds the short videos more appealing. We already do short extracts from longer videos, highlighting some of the key points made in the longer videos. And she thinks I should just basically push out more of those. She says, literally wake up every morning, you have a thought, put it on video, push it out. Or halfway through the day, something happens that annoys you or makes you happy or makes you laugh, push it out. And I said, but wouldn't that mean that every week there'd be like 10 videos or Donu'S videos swirling around the internet? Wouldn't people get tired? And she says, well, her own personal opinion is that the short ones are more attractive, more engaging. So what do you think? All right, so I'm now going to move on to viewers' voices from last Wednesday. Last Wednesday's video was about, let's have a look. Yes, Nigerian Independence Day was on Wednesday. We used to be a British colony, for those of you who don't know. And we were 65 on Wednesday. Independence was 1960, and I am also 65. So I have a sort of personal stake in this whole independence talk, because I was born on the eve of independence, and Nigeria and I are the same age. And I did a short roundup expressing the view that there wasn't much to celebrate, because at 65 years old, Nigeria has yet to fulfill its potential due to bad leadership. And also, quite honestly, Nigerians themselves need to take some responsibility for the fact that their leaders are so useless. Because, people get away with what they can get away with. And if you demand high standards, you're more likely to get them. That's my own personal opinion. So let's look at the comments from last Wednesday's Independence video. And there's one from Patricia Wask, one of my regulars. And Patricia says, oh, Donna, I'm sorry women are unsafe in Nigeria. Oh yeah, because one of the things I said on last Wednesday's video was that one of the areas in which the Nigerian government has failed is in providing adequate security for the citizens. Because a beautiful, vibrant, young Nigerian TV journalist died last Wednesday because 15 men, armed men, invaded the apartment block where she lived, and she saw them coming and heard them coming. They went through the building, beating people up and grabbing people's possessions. And I think they had already shot the security guard at the gate of the compound where she lived. And she was so terrified, she just jumped off her 4th floor balcony, cracked her skull, and died in hospital later. And so, I told this story, and Pat says, the truth is that women aren't safe in most countries in the world today. I can't understand why we are in more danger today than we were even 25 to 30 years ago. And many Democrats, this is in America where Pat comes from, are ruled by corrupt SOBs who like to get elected and then don't follow through on their promises. Hey, Patricia, that happens with politicians of all descriptions and parties, not just Democrat. I got to tell you that, your view of Republicans and Democrats in your country it's not shared by everybody. I think a lot of Republicans are very corrupt and very, very bigoted, But hey, some Democrats are SOBs too. So you're right. Many of them do not fulfill their promises to the electorate, whatever party they belong to, in my opinion, and they're too busy serving themselves to serve their constituents. It's very depressing, and she's very sorry about the death of my young media colleague. Then there's a comment from Ephraim Evezi, 48, who says that any patriotic Nigerian and real progressive can certainly not be happy with the sordid state of affairs in Nigeria. True talk. Thank you. You're a newcomer. I've not seen your name before. So, when I asked earlier for people's opinions about my channel and my videos, I'm including everybody. Newcomers like you are very, very welcome to add their voices to, assessments of the videos that will make them better or more appealing to you personally. I mean, I'm not going to take up every suggestion I get, but it will be useful to know what people think, because I can't take up every suggestion, because some of them will be conflicting. Some people say, hey, make them funniest. Some people say, hey, make them more serious. Some people say, make them longer, make them shorter. In the end, I'll have to decide on a compromise that kind of works for me, as well as for at least most of my audience. But love to hear what you think. And I don't know if I've already said this, but as far as I'm concerned, all criticisms are constructive if they're not coming from a place of viciousness and hatred. So if you think I'm doing something wrong, or that I could present my material better, blah blah blah, tell me. Send me comments on this Viewers Voices thread, and I'll read them out next Sunday and analyze them during the week. Okay, so the next letter or comment came from Tony AK24, and he says, a Nigerian woman who, having told the world, once said, I hope Nigeria will give me a reason to be proud of her before I die. It is sadly a statement that I, as a Nigerian who knows the potential you talk about, also ponder every now and again. Nigeria simply has no reason to be the way it is. The people collectively are yet to make their mind up on how to fix the country. We still focus on who comes from where until the people resolve. ... Could not agree more. I often say, the problem of Nigeria is not just a problem of leadership, it's also a problem of followership. The entire population, or at least a large, significant percentage of it, has to decide that this country must improve and must move forward. Can't put it all on the few guys at the top who only mess around because we allow them to, Finally, the video that came out on Friday, a couple of days ago, the first one is from my lovely sister, Leila Kabara, who says, keep up the movement, you are looking good. Because I talked about how I was trying to become more active. Since I got back to Nigeria, I was in Europe for several weeks, came back, and I was saying that because we have domestic help in Nigeria, full-time, it's very easy to sit around like a beached whale, sending people to get you coffee, sending people to bring you lunch, just basically never doing anything that involves physical exertion. And I said I was going to try and get out of that bad habit, because when I'm in Europe, I behave like a normal person. I get up, I make my own coffee, I get my own glass of water from the fridge or whatever. But here, Nigerian women of a certain age in particular tends to be served hand and foot by domestic help because it is cheaper here. You don't have to be rich to have domestic staff in Nigeria. So it kind of like messes with your health. And I mean, it's nice to live, to do nothing in a way, but it's also really, really bad for your health to never move. So thank you to my sister for reminding me that I need to take the need for movement more seriously, even when I'm in Nigeria. And then Ossie Inyomo, 8661, who is fast becoming a regular, says, you are really looking good and getting closer to the excellent profile picture. Welcome back. Thank you, my dear. I don't know, are you a girl? Are you a boy? Much appreciated anyway. And then Pat Wask says, "Hi, Donny. Glad you've returned safely to Nigeria and are once again comfortable with a bit of a domestic help. You can still keep fit just by walking and exploring your surroundings. Go swimming every day." Now, Patricia, interestingly, I was reading an article just, earlier on yesterday, where it said that, do you know that the day-to-day movements that people do, just moving around, cooking, cleaning, weeding your garden, that people often burn more calories and gain more cardiac benefits from that general movement than they do from the 1 hour jog in the morning or the trip to the gym. So that's why I say that I need to get out of being so dependent on domestic help. I need to move more because movement is really important, especially as you get older. Otherwise, your joints seize up, not to mention all the weight gain and issues. I also complained about tiny, tight, horrible economy cabin class seats on British Airways because that was how I came back from London to Nigeria a few days ago. And Patricia says she agrees with me about economy seats on commercial airliners. It's so uncomfortable that I will not fly anywhere if I can drive instead. Truly, configuring aircraft passenger seats should, at a minimum, accommodate tall and larger human beings. You're no larger than a grown man who travels, and there are lots of 6-foot tall men who weigh 250 to 300 pounds traveling on a regular basis. The upcharges for extra legroom are gouging passengers who need more space. Greed. And, Patricia, you're quite right. I mean, I'm only 5'8". Actually, for a long time, when I was younger, I was measured at 5'10". And then I went to my doctor a while ago and was weighed and measured. He said, "You're only 5'8". Now, is it because I've shrunk because I'm getting older, or because the first measurement when I was a teenager was all wrong? Anyway, I'm not that tall, really. Certainly not taller than a lot of guys. And I just think British Airways is what the British call taking the piss. Making the seats so uncomfortable that only the most petite people can possibly feel comfortable. And it's not necessary. I think I mentioned that I went on a Spanish airline called Vueling in Vueling. I'm spelling it so that you can book them if you ever have a choice. I flew on Vueling from France to Spain in August. And it was delightful, comfortable, no problem. I had the cheapest seats. So, I'm British Airways. I mean, it's greed. It's greed. It never used to be that bad. And very, very unhappy about it. Anyway, I think either maybe they just want everybody to pay for the more expensive cabins, like first class and business and premium economy, or whatever it is. Not happy. BA. I know I can't change your policy. I'm not important enough. But hey, there's something I was going to say about this. Oh yes, I was going to comment on Patricia's view that people are given the opportunity to pay for extra legroom, which she thinks is a bit of a rip-off. You know what? I don't even mind paying for extra legroom. But there are very few extra legroom seats on the average plane. So, by the time I went online to look for extra legroom seats before my flight, they were all gone. So, well, before we round up this week's Viewers' Voices session, let me just quickly say that, I was saying earlier that I would like Patricia and Emma J Music and Osinio Moore and everybody who is interested to tell me how I can improve this channel. I actually had an idea which was about, it's about consumer protection. I ordered some items online while I was in London, handbags. One was from an advert in the Washington Post newspaper, and they were supposed to be leather handbags, and they turned out to be plastic when they arrived. Then there was also another outfit that was advertising clothes. They look fabulous on the model. And I know I'm not a model. I'm not young. I'm not slim. But hey, the difference between what was advertised, it was a Facebook advert, and what arrived was just outstanding. It was just pure fraud. And I was thinking that one way of engaging more with my viewers is to offer them the opportunity to share any stories they have about being scammed online by retailers who sell goods that are totally different from the pictures that they advertise with. But then, I thought maybe if I did that, the response would be so overwhelming that I wouldn't be able to cope because it's just me and my social media manager. And I suppose before you decide whether you can cope with something or not, you need to find out whether there would be that much demand anyway. What do you think? Is that a good thing to concentrate on every week for a few minutes? People who've been scammed. But you see, then there are legal implications. You can't be sure that what people tell you about their bad experiences are entirely accurate. And maybe you wind up being a bit unfair to the companies that you're complaining about. Anyway, just a thought, something to think about and to give me some feedback about. Patricia says, she hopes I have a great weekend. I am having a good weekend so far. So happy Sunday again, and see you next week.